think I was so excited to get kicked off that as soon as they were like, what should we demo first? I was like, the kitchen, because it was the eyesore for me. But looking back now, we're in August and we demoed that in March. It's been a long time to not have a kitchen. So looking back, hindsight 2020, I would have waited a lot longer before I demoed the kitchen. But it's been interesting. Really tired of food delivery services. People think it's not as bad, but when I tell them like, okay, if I do grill, where do I marinate the chicken? Where do I cut up the chicken? Where do I wash my utensils? So I put them all in a bag and I give them to my mom and she takes them home and washes them. See what the major, I guess, money pits are gonna be, right? So I didn't realize that windows are very expensive. And I was like, I'm gonna just put all new windows in. I don't like these, they're white and I want black windows. Yeah, that was close to $100,000. I didn't really know that. Also, doors are very expensive. So kind of seeing what in a house that you're looking at of what you wanna change and kind of checking numbers. I know that's really hard right now. The market is crazy, but just, I don't know, go on a Facebook group. I'm in 100 Facebook interior design groups and just ask. If paint is the only problem, you're good. Paint is not expensive and the labor is not expensive. When you get into taking down walls and moving electrical stuff, that's when it gets really expensive. The electrical work was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, I bought the house knowing that there was some double tapping and some issues, but it really came into play once they started working in the walls and putting in the new LG system. Breakers were tripping every day. I'd come home, the refrigerator's not plugged in, the lights are not working in the kitchen. So I just ended up hiring an electrician to just rewire and trace out every single line. So that was a surprise. Definitely having that home inspection is very important. And also understanding what your home inspector is not gonna look at. So in my attic, I said like, oh, you guys didn't tell me there was like an infestation of possums. And they were like, oh, because we don't check for that. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, we're not allowed to cross like trusses and beams because it's unsafe. So we only like take a look and we leave. And I'm like, oh, if I had known that, I would have hired a pest control company to do a second inspection. Just expect that everything will not go perfectly. Things will be delayed. So don't marry any dates that you have in mind because I would have been eating in my kitchen a few months ago if that was true. Save up your money and get an Airbnb while you're going through construction. I think the first 3 months of it was just dust, and I actually couldn't figure out if I had COVID or if I was coming down with some sickness, and it turned out my lungs were just full of dust. So definitely, if you don't have to stay in your house, if you can monetarily afford to get a rental in the meantime, I would highly recommend that. Other thing is that it might not come up in construction, but changing the air filters every week is really important. I found that there were weird noises coming from the HVAC system. I felt really sick, and then just changing those weekly changed a lot for me. I definitely would have taken more time to move my items out and like really, I guess, like protect them. So I have a lot of like really nice furniture, and I didn't know any better. This is obviously my first time. So when they needed to work on the living room, I just thought they would cover everything in plastic and put it in the garage. Well, no, it was like a bunch of guys with dirty hands from working all day that took my couch and just tossed it in the garage. And now I go out and it has handprints all over it. And I'm like, why are we even keeping this? And a lot of stuff just got damaged from, like I have an espresso machine that I love. And so I had left it in the kitchen, and when they were demoing all the drywall, it all got into the motor and everything. And so, yeah, my Nespresso machine is no longer with us. So just things like that, things that you don't think of. I would have put everything in storage or sold everything and just bought new stuff, because trying to sort through things to find your clothes, and you find a pair of shoes buried in dust that got put in a corner. Excited to have a pool party and cook in my kitchen and have people over and have this giant open kitchen that people can just flow in and out of the house with. But other than that, it's been really nice to see the open concept come to life. to see the floors go in, and slowly little changes here and there, and kind of getting closer and closer to the final vision that I had for the house.